Some people are excited because it's Christmas. Others are excited because, oh my god, we got a new Star Wars. And I can't wait. I just, please, please let this not be a downer. Really hope this is good. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm getting ready to. So as I do, here is my opening for what will be my review. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Star Wars: The Last Jedi. And this is one of those movies I've been waiting for. There's a lot going on in it, and there's a lot of expectations as I get ready to go. I've seen every Star Wars film since I was a kid. I remember as a kid going to see Return, although I don't remember Empire for its first viewing. Obviously, we want to know what's going on with Rey, and we want to know what's been going on with Luke, and, well, just in general, does he actually even want that lightsaber back? Is that her lightsaber now? I'll find out in a few minutes when I go. Return of the Jedi is still right now my favorite. I doubt this movie's going to displace it, but we'll see, because I really want to see what Kylo Ren does. He's the one I'm most interested in. For those of you that don't know, what I do here is I review stories as they come up, and then post theory videos every Sunday. If that sounds interesting to you and you want to help me explore what it means to get into the heart of the story, click subscribe. Alright, so I went to Disney last year and got to actually see this firsthand. It is pretty amazing. I can't wait to see it on the big screen again. Two sides of the same coin, Rey and Kylo. Let's see how it all starts. I'm going now. Okay, so my first thoughts were, oh my god, I am such a Star Wars geek. In fact, so much so that there's part of me that wants to overlook the flaws of this movie, but I'm afraid I can't. There's part of me that really wants to give this a massively platinum or even that mithril, and I'm not even that hard to please when it comes to Star Wars. There are going to be people that are going to rip this thing apart. I'm going to settle on a gold, though. And let me just say that I think repeat viewings might end up degrading down to Electrum. The Last Jedi has things in it that, you know how everyone says avoid spoilers? Yeah, totally avoid spoilers. Your first watch through this is going to be your best. Now, overall, we've had a long time coming for this, and this is totally better than any one of the three prequels. It probably is better than most of A New Hope, but Rogue One, Empire, and Jedi totally blow it out of the water. In fact, I went into this movie wanting nothing more than to enjoy the movie so much that I would come back and say this was the best Star Wars movie ever made. The problem is, everything in that sentence is wrong. There's plenty that this movie did right, though, so let's start with that. It was a great next part of the saga. It had a continuation. It literally picks up where the last one left off. It had a great opening scroll. It had everything that you need for it to be a good, fun movie. The problem is that it wasn't as deep as some of us would have wanted. And I will admit, I had my own theory videos, but I'm betting that there will be a lot of people in the theorying community that are going to be very upset at how some of these things play out. On top of that, we have some really great actors and actresses, but we also have at least one phoned-in performance. Like any good Star Wars film, this splits the cast up as the story goes on into multiple missions and then meets them all back up at the end. The part that we knew already was that Finn was going off with a new character named Rose, and Rose has a very important role to play in this. 2 or 3 roles, and to be honest, she's the weakest link in the thing. And on top of that, they put a lot of kidified stuff that got people mad at the prequels, in this as well. And they did it smack dab in the middle of her story. Although I will admit there was also some fun in there. Now, overall, the action is great. Every time we snap to part of the story, though, I just want to be back on a different part. And that happens over and over again. And then what I think is the worst sin for a movie. It ends up setting up a theme during the Finn story that doesn't pay off, because it's all just there as a smokescreen for what's really going on. Now, I will say that the lightsaber battles are awesome. There are some great moments, but overall, this is not the best Star Wars movie. It is a good one, though, and you should definitely see it spoiler free. And for those of you that were hoping for a nice use of Captain Phasma after we didn't really get much of her in the last film, sorry, I think she's in this one less. And I'll tell you right now, I can already hear the people from Cinema Sins. Snoke would be good at Cinnamon Sins. Ding! And wait, Snoke didn't see that coming? Ding! At the same time. But now I'm going to start throwing up spoiler warnings. So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. And I am very serious about this whole don't go into this getting spoiled, because this movie is going to have a rewatchability level drop because of these things. Point blank. There are things that happen, like, I can't imagine myself disliking the original trilogy knowing Vader was his father, but in this there are things. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks. I started this off with a joke on the crawl about please don't let Luke die, please don't let Luke die, and spoiler, Luke dies. But he becomes one with the Force, really. And to be honest, they play up a lot of jokes with him, but his end scene is pretty badass. But at the same time, there's still a lot of jokes, and Mark Hamill's a funny guy. He delivers them perfectly. But at the same time, I don't know. I was kind of expecting a wiser, older Luke, and instead we got a Luke that still needed to be taught lessons. Well, we got the main new characters basically running in circles for a big portion of the movie. And I'll tell you this, the movie itself only lasts about a day. That's right, all of this is the day after The Force Awakens. We pick up at first with the Resistance, but then we flash to Luke, who like I said, is kind of funny. He just throws that lightsaber away and doesn't say anything. For a second, I thought they were just messing with us. But then we get that Supreme Leader Snoke even calling Kylo Ren out on the fact that he can't beat a girl who's never fought with a lightsaber before. And again, I can hear Cinema Sins. He'd be great at Cinema Sins. Ding. We never really got a good training montage. We had a little bit here and there and no real explanation. Although, I will say that being that I had put up my own theory on why it was time for the Jedi to end, I got it very, very, very basically right, but got so many of the details wrong it wasn't even funny. And part of the reason I got those details wrong, and I'm totally because I overread it, is because I went into this whole thing about the wills and trying to figure out, the Grey Jedi and all that, when in reality, this was a much more straightforward story that needed much less thought put into it. Which also then goes to Rey. So let's talk about Rey as a character. Rey as a character comes in as our new Jedi, and that's awesome. And she needs to train her the way Luke did, but she's got a lot of power, and she has belief, and it's great. But at the same time, I'm not one to call her a Mary Sue at all, but I was just assuming she was the next Skywalker to continue on. The answer to who her parents were was such a disappointment after such a huge build-up. And this scene right here, this really, it got memed as, go away, get off my lawn. And you know what? That's exactly what happens in the scene. During her couple of days, a day, I'm not even sure, on the island, timeline-wise, it doesn't really make sense that she only spent a day there and got that upset with Luke, and was that connected to Kylo. But she basically finds this well of darkness. And that doesn't really go anywhere either. Like, I really expected that. Maybe that's for the next movie. Then we get badass Supreme Leader Snoke, and all the questions that could be answered about who is Snoke, what is Snoke capable of. And basically in this scene that this toy depicts, he is badass. He can throw people around, he can usurp their force control over an object. Pretty powerful. But in the end, he can't foresee the fact that Kylo Ren is going to kill him. In fact, it's almost comical with his whole, first he turns the lightsaber, then he activates it and kills his true enemy. Oh, wait, I was his true enemy. Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. So in the end, we get some answers to the questions that we've been asking. Specifically, who were Rey's parents? But we don't get answers to who was Snoke. And I use was because he's totally past tense. He gets killed. Which leaves me feeling like, why bother? He was just random evil dude. who really didn't have anything special other than he was a powerful Force user who got blindsided, which I've had enough of. And then on top of that, Rey's parents are nobody. What's that? Yes, nobody. Just random dirt farmers or traders or salvagers. She has no part to play in this story. I bet CinemaSins sits there and says that Kylo Ren not only just said what all the neckbeards thought, but he said it better. Ding. The scene I think they're going to say is Kylo Ren, or no, that Snoke is good at CinemaSins, is Snoke telling Kylo Ren, "You're just a little boy in a mask, you're no Vader." Okay. So it sounds like I'm being down on this movie. So let's switch it up and talk about some of the great points. The action, the actual battle, once it gets started, where Rey and Kylo fight back to back, is brilliant. For a moment, I really thought they were going somewhere with that. Unfortunately, they're not, because then Kylo turns around and says, "No, rule by my side." Great character arc there. For a second, I thought you had one. Guess not. Instead, we just get, "No, I want to rule and sit on the Iron Throne." And he does. And she gets away. And then he turns back into incompetent. Although I will say, there's a scene where Luke comes out and there's all these people pointing guns at him, and basically Kylo says, "No, no, I want every gun, every blaster pointed at him and firing." Even here in the spoiler section, I'm not going to go too far into what happens next, but I will say that is not how Luke dies. And Luke and Kylo have to later get into a big sword fight. Now, having said that, what was going on with the whole Knights of Ren? And the fact that even in this movie, Luke's like, "Oh yeah, he took some of my apprentices over to the dark side." We don't see him. Like, I guess maybe they could have been these Red Imperial guards that Kylo had a little bit of a problem fighting. They do have some really awesome weapons, including things that I think normally are more fantasy. But at the same time, they weren't really that badass and weren't that force sensitive. In fact, the most force sensitive badassery we see comes from Leia. Now, all around, I want to cry every time I see Carrie Fisher on screen because I know this is the last chance we have to see her. And we know that they had something planned for her in the next movie. But that's never going to happen now. It was awesome. This was definitely a big, great send-off to Carrie Fisher and a great moment for General Leia. General Leia is probably the heart of the Resistance and one of the most powerful users that we see of the Force. Moving along, like I said, Rose and Finn. One or two scenes I do feel majorly for Rose, so I will give her that. But overall, I keep coming back to the fact that she just doesn't feel the same as the other characters. Now, she's mostly here to teach Finn a lesson or two, and at the same time, showcase what's going on. But we get this great setup with Benicio del Toro's character, who, by the way, plays it flawlessly, but gets even less screen time than Phasma. So Del Toro sets up this whole thing about how good guys, bad guys don't matter, it's all part of the same machinery, because at the end of the day, the same weapon manufacturers sell to the Resistance as sell to the First Order. Now, having said that, this could set up a whole thing between Kylo and Rey, but it's all just a fake out. In fact, all of that is just a fake out, the entire storyline, just to get us so that everyone can be on the Snoke ship at the end. Yeah, I heard a lot of rumors that he was supposed to be Ezra, but there's not a single hint of a single member of the Ghost crew in here. In fact, when they call for help, no one shows up. I don't even fully understand why they brought Gwendolyn Christie back for Captain Phasma, on the other hand, because she has one scene. She comes out, she arrests, and then fights. I mean, that's it. That's one fight sequence. I feel like they could have done so much more with her. However, where those characters didn't pay off, this new character totally did. Our new Admiral. Talking about fake outs done right, this was the red herring, like I talk about on this Sunday's video, that was perfect. Everything makes this Admiral look like she's incompetent. Everything makes her look like she's just running. But at the end of the day, she is right at every turn. and she manages to be a hero that not only saves the day, but gets to teach Poe a lesson. In fact, it's the lesson that Leia was trying to teach him at the beginning of the movie. And of all the characters, he has the largest character arc. Yes, Rey and Finn each have minor arcs, but for the most part, Poe has to learn responsibility and take command of the Resistance. In fact, one of the greatest moments in the movie is when Leia says, "Why are you looking at me? Follow him." Because he learned well the lesson that was taught to him by this admiral. Ironically enough, though, both he and her share a similar flair for the dramatic when it comes to using faster-than-light drive to get through things. And I will also say that it does answer a physics question I've always had about whether or not they're actually traveling faster than light or using an extra dimensional space like a jump gate of some sort. They are going faster than light now, according to this movie. Now, the end sequence has a great battle with these walkers and the creatures that are like crystal dog things and the speeders, and it's really awesome. And I didn't think it would be, so hats off to them for that. And there's another thing that they did that I thought I wouldn't like, where overall the cutesy creatures living with Luke didn't exactly endure themselves to me. I will say that the scene where Chewbacca yells and then the Pog yells is pretty awesome in screen and in story. And that also brings me to some of my favorite lines of this movie, because all the TIE fighters fly off to fight the Falcon in that scene, and they kind of hang a lampshade on it by saying, "Yeah, we really hate that ship," which, it's the Falcon, so that makes sense. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie, though. I was hoping it was going to be something more epic and more thought-provoking, and they did kind of drop theme a couple times, but overall it was fun. I'm curious what you thought. And do you think that the spoilers are going to be a problem? Because I honestly think that once you know the Admiral isn't actually incompetent and or gonna get them killed, that she has a plan, and once you know that Luke is just a Force illusion in that scene, it takes so much away from those scenes. Or do you think that, like, Luke, I am your father, no, I am your father, this just makes it all the better? I'm curious to hear what you think down below. I also am curious to know how many of you actually managed to make it spoiler-free. Because I went tonight after my nephew and niece's Christmas concert, I managed to make it in between the first time they viewed this movie and when I went to see it without being anywhere near a spoiler. And I enjoyed it, I think, more for it. Let me know down in the comment section. And if you could just do me a quick favor, if you enjoyed this, click that thumbs up button and share this video. I'd love to see it go viral. I'd love to see everyone hear my thoughts. But if not, you could always just click that subscribe button to hear more insane thoughts as they come up. I do videos all the time on all sorts of stories, and I'm going to be doing even more movies because the trailers looked awesome tonight. And what I do is I walk through the heart of the stories we tell. I hope you have a good night, and may the Force be with you.